Come to DSW for the shoes, stay for the fun. Because, let's be honest, if shoe shopping isn't fun, are you even doing it right? So go ahead, try something new. Try something different. Good different. Try something that feels like you. You know, the real you. And then definitely brag about it later. Because at DSW, you've got unlimited freedom to play. Find the shoes that get you at prices that get your budget at DSW stores or at DSW.com. Let us surprise you.
Hello and welcome into the latest episode of the Show Before the Show podcast, the official podcast of minor league baseball, which may be doing its most geographically distanced episode ever as I come to you from Eastern mainland China all the way to New York City. The internet really is like pretty remarkable. As we welcome into this week's episode of the Show Before the Show. My name is Tyler Maughan. Benjamin Hill and Sam Dykstra are in New York City, and I am looking at them live on a screen right now. Like, that's mind-blowing, you know?
I'm just thinking about all the times we've done this show, Tyler, and it's been like Wi-Fi issues, and we've been in the United States.
Yeah, exactly.
And this has been seamless. Like you are reacting things like
so
we were
weird.
talking in the same room.
So weird. You know, the other day I'm watching a sporting event on my iPad, and I'm in a group text with my buddies from college, and I was like maybe one play delayed watching a football game. I was like, I'm across the ocean. If you could explain this to somebody from even 50 years ago, their head would explode. And now it's just like we take for granted, like, duh, the Wi-Fi's down. It's not working. It's insane. It's insane to me. Ben, it's insane.
It is insane, but in a good way for the most part. And
Yeah.
Yes, perhaps the most geographically distant episode of all time. But I'd say the most emotionally connected.
It does feel like
We're the closest we've ever been.
As soon as the call, lit up, I felt the warmth. I felt like I was in the room with you dudes. We're just three peas in a pod, you know?
Yes.
It makes me very happy. It's good to see your smiling faces from so far away as we welcome you into this week's episode.
This is way too sentimental. We can't keep doing this. We got
a lot to get to on this week's episode of the official podcast of minor league baseball. Thanks for hanging out with us wherever you are. We are thrilled that you decided to join us on this week's episode. You can get in touch with us, of course, podcast at milb.com as the offseason approaches. But it is not here yet, and baseball continues across the globe. I'm currently doing the U23 Baseball World Cup here in China. Minor league playoffs underway. We're going to talk a little bit about the minor league playoffs, but we are going to dive in on this week's episode of the Show Before the Show with a new. It's not even Logo-tober yet, much less Logo-vember. It's Logo-tember. I can't extend this going on too long, but we have a new identity in minor league baseball for the 2025 season as the former Double-A Mississippi Braves will be moving to Columbus, Georgia in 2025, and they will be known as, drumroll please, the Columbus Clingstones, which is a reference to a type of peach in which the fruit does not come away from the pit quite as easily. I did not know that this is a terminology, but two different types of peaches: clingstones and freestones. And I guess clingstones are like the ones that are like really difficult to get the fruit off of. I like a nice freestone, but the clingstone a lot grittier, a lot better. There's a toughness to a clingstone. It's good for a baseball identity. I like it. Ben, give us the lowdown on this Studio Simon created identity for the new Columbus, Georgia Double-A franchise.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack as always. As you mentioned, I mean, they unveiled this new team identity just last Friday, while the Mississippi Braves, the franchise that will move to Columbus and become this team, were playing their last homestand. So you had this kind of weird disconnect of the Mississippi Braves at Trustmark Park in Pearl, Mississippi, playing their final homestand, while at the same time, the city they're relocating to is announcing, well, here's who we're going to be. And it makes sense from that perspective in that they have a whole offseason now to establish this name in the community while they're also getting the ballpark together to debut in April 2025 at what is now being called Synovus Park. But it's essentially a massively renovated version of Golden Park, a ballpark in Columbus that is almost 100 years old. So, I asked the general manager, Pete Lavin, like, are we calling this a new ballpark or a renovated old ballpark? And he said, well, I would call it a new ballpark, but it is on the site of Golden Park, which was built in 1926. There is going to be the same seating bowl, not seats, but the bowl itself, and a few architectural elements. But I think we will classify this as a new park. And yes, there's a whole offseason to get that ballpark ready and to market the Clingstones. I'm such a hack. I'm looking at the story I wrote. I couldn't help but going with this lead. It has nothing to do with like what a Clingstone actually is, but Clingstones meet the Clingstones, Columbus, Georgia's new minor league team, like to the tune of Flintstones. You just hear Clingstones, and I went with that. Now I'm being like, oh my goodness, dude. You try to take yourself seriously as a writer.
The only other thing you could have done was like, oh, the new identity is here for the minor league franchise in Columbus, and it's downright peachy.
Right. That's what I was struggling with. I wanted to have something quick and clever, and I thought a peach would make more sense because it actually speaks to what it actually is. But I didn't want to just say peachy. And we're not the kind of website would say that this is the pits, and I couldn't think of anything else to go with, really. Certainly wasn't going to go with fruit-tastic or something just absolutely.
Of course not. No, you never would.
No,
No,
I mean,
absolutely
that would
not.
just be cringe,
Yeah.
as the kids say. But a Clingstone, so Columbus, Georgia. Georgia is the peach state. And as Tyler mentioned, there are two primary types of peaches. I mean, Clingstones, in talking with the team, I guess they were first sold commercially from the Columbus, Georgia region in terms of being exported and made more of a national product. But, honestly, I don't think Columbus, Georgia right now has a huge connection with this Clingstone variety of peach, other than that there is an agricultural history in the area. And of course, Georgia is the peach state. I mean, it's just one of those things. I don't know the whole history of Georgia and peaches, but when you say what state do you associate with peaches, Georgia is what's going to come up to mind first. Although Tyler might disagree. I mean, I was out there in Grand Junction, Colorado, and the peaches were a big thing there. So
Grand Valley is it's a big peach producing region. But yeah, I mean, when you think of Georgia, well, like what is it, like 98% of the streets in Atlanta are named something peach tree related? Maybe it's not quite that high, but it feels that way.
That's a lot of streets.
Yeah,
so they're
thereabouts.
definitely they're clinging to that the fruit related identity, the Clingstones, and the state of Georgia as the peach state.
Yeah, I mean, hashtag get clingy with it, or get clingy, I believe the team is using. And the logo done by Dan Simon, friend of the podcast. If you're familiar with Dan Simon's work, you can kind of close your eyes, and even before you see the logo, get maybe a good sense of what it might be. The peach is smiling. We went through a long era of scowling mascots and logos, but a peach, I feel like a peach can't scowl. It's a peach, peachy. It's upbeat. So it's smiling. It's wearing pants. Fruit bodies are kind of hard to convey, but I think they do this pretty well. A baseball playing peach, beaming. And peach is one of the team's primary colors, and actually one of their alternate uniforms is a monochromatic peach, which, as far as I can tell, is the first time that's ever been done, like an all peach monochrome look. So that, I think, is what the most bold or unique aspect of this identity is. Not so much the peach itself as much as the color peach being part of the team's look, along with green and black. So it's an upbeat look. It's a little bit retro to me than the way the peach looks, smiling, beaming. It's I like it.
Honestly, the font set, and Tyler, you can speak to this better than I can. Like it feels like it's from like the WPA 40s, 50s era a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Exactly how I would have described it. I mean, it's like a 1930s, 1940s, like an old diner. If you were to walk into a diner in Columbus, Georgia in that era, it seems like that would be sort of the look that you would get. And I think this color scheme is fantastic. I love it. The peach seems to pair with the green really well. This is a very visually pleasing identity right out of the gate, which a lot of times there are different elements of things and you think, I don't know if those colors really play well together. I don't know if the logo jumps off the page. This, I mean, Dan Simon, I think, hit this out of the park, as Dan Simon always does. But this is a really, really good one, and it feels very instantly classic. It's not so much of a reach that you think like, oh well, I mean, I see they're trying to go for this, and I'm not sure it really works. I mean, this is really, really good.
And yet, and inevitably, and justifiably, because people are entitled to their own opinions, go to the especially Facebook pages of the Columbus Clingstones and Columbus, Georgia, sports personalities. This has not gone over too well in the early going. And I actually got an email about that recently from someone who wasn't angry, but just kind of like, hey, just so you know, no one in Columbus likes this. And I responded like, yeah, I get that. And people are entitled to their opinion, and I completely understand that. And I'm not here to knock anyone's impressions of this good or bad. But what I said to this emailer and what I say to everybody is like, I've been doing this, and people in the industry have been observing this, and we've been talking about it for a long time. And almost always, when you have a unique team name, it's not well received. I'd say 90+% of the time.
Yeah.
And then I'd also say that 90+% of the time, fast forward a year and see how that opinion has changed. And I think a lot of it has to do with people not, just seeing this in a vacuum and being like, what? But then when you go to the game, you see the players on the field, you see how the logo, the merchandise, the branding, the overall aesthetic is incorporated into the ballpark experience. You get a sense of what the modern minor league baseball experience is, and then it all ties together and makes sense. The merch sells a lot. And at the end of the year, most of the people who are angry are not angry anymore. And that's not to say like, oh, that's not a criticism of people who are angry. But I think often it's a case of just sort of education about, and not even education, just experience of just getting that experience for yourself and then probably coming away with a much better impression than you had initially. Time will tell, of course. And of course, a lot of people always want to go back to previous identities. As I said, they're playing in maybe it's a new ballpark, but they're playing on the site of Golden Park. There's 100+ years of professional baseball history in Columbus. So a lot of people want to go back to previous eras, the Red Sticks, the Catfish, who knows what else. But of course, that's not going to happen for various reasons. You want a new identity. You want to sell merch in the here and now based on a fresh look. And so we'll see how it goes. But this is the first time there will have been minor league baseball in Columbus, Georgia since 2008, when the Columbus Catfish left town after that season. They were in the South Atlantic League. So it'll have been 17 years since Columbus had a minor league team. And this version of Golden Park, which isn't even Golden Park, Synovus Park, essentially a new ballpark, is going to be very different experience than people in Columbus are used to, going back to 2008 and before.
And one thing I'll throw in is if there's anybody out at home just saying like Clingstones, it feels like a mouthful, it feels like a lot, like maybe it's not specifically connected to the Columbus area, just call them the Stones if you want. Like think about how rock and roll that's going to feel like. I'm going to the Stones game. I'm sure that's just going to happen. Like they want to latch on, pun intended, I guess, to the Kling identity part of it. And I'm sure through hashtags and sayings around the ballpark, they're going to do that. But like at home, when you're talking to your friends, just say like, hey, we're going to the Stones game on Tuesday. And I think that's going to catch on. Like that's going to feel a little bit rock and roll. That's going to feel pretty cool. Coming from Massachusetts like I do, the Worcester Red Sox, they didn't change their name technically when they went from Pawtucket to Worcester, but everybody calls them the Woo Sox. My 7-year-old nephew, my 5-year-old niece, my 3-year-old niece probably doesn't know what the Woo Sox are yet, but when she does, she'll call them the Woo Sox because it's just fun to say. She's been to a game. You'll find your own way of making this your own. Like this is kind of the starter set. It's everything else that follows that makes this your minor league team.
That is the truth. And congratulations to Columbus with a new team coming. And yeah, it always takes time for these things to settle in and to find their own identity and create their own niche in the community. I do think there are some names that Columbus could use for some alternate identities from its past. One of them is the Columbus River Snipes. That's evidently a bird. Which seems pretty cool. But the one that I think they should go to is just from the 1896 Southern Association and the 1897 Southeastern League, the Columbus Babies, which just seems like, I mean, RIP to the New Orleans baby cakes, but We don't have any baby related. I guess Scranton Wilkes-Barre has the Bambino logo that they break out every once in a while. But if they wanted to go for like an alternate baby night, I think that'd be kind of fun as well. But welcome to the minor league family, to the Columbus Clingstones, and I think it's great. I think Dan Simon crushed it. I also now I'm every time I go looking for peaches, I'm gonna be like trying to track somebody down at my local grocery store and being like, is this a Clingstone or a Freestone, to see what my peach eating experience will be like. A Clingstone, see, it seems as though, just as a quick divergence here, it seems as though it's just a lot of work, right? Like if you could grow both, wouldn't you just want to grow the Freestone because it's so much easier to eat? You
Yeah, I mean, I think
peach
like,
experts, you should know these answers.
well, I'd say the way that you're more likely to find chicken fingers or chicken tenders on a menu than wings.
Right. Yeah,
I think wings are better, but it takes more time.
it does.
It's harder to eat, and I think
That's
it's the
true.
same sort of thing. So I'm no peach expert, but I think Clingstones are maybe regarded as better in terms of the actual taste, but less commercially viable because you can't just grab and go, take a bite, eat it down to the pit, toss the pit casually behind you as you're whistling on the sidewalk. You gotta work a little harder on a Clingstone.
Yeah, much like this podcast that is almost at 500 episodes, all good things take work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. We are the
yeah.
Clingstone of minor league baseball.
We're
podcasts.
still trying to get it to be good.
We're still trying to remove it from the pit.
Yeah, the pit keeps sticking to the podcast.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, there is minor league postseason play underway. And of course, Sam had a good point as we started talking. He said, we kind of can give an overview because by the time we release this episode, anything that we talk about will be outdated because of games tonight. Sam, give us the rundown of what's going on in the minor league postseason right now.
Yeah, so right now the high A and single A levels are in their postseason play. They're mostly best of three series between the Midwest League, South Atlantic League, Northwest League, Carolina League, California League, and Florida State League. They're all actually best of three series at this point, and they will be best of three series moving forward. So all these games or all these series that we have so far, as of recording this on Thursday, are through one game. The Northwest League Championship Series is a best of five. That's just in there's no semifinals, there's no divisional round, whatever you want to call
There's
it.
only 6 teams in
There's
the
only
league.
6 teams, yeah. So Spokane and Vancouver are currently in their series. I would bet, unless something really crazy happens, that they will be the first minor league circuit to crown a champion this year. Right now, Spokane, which is a Rockies affiliate, Tyler, leads the best of 5 series, 1-0, led by top Rockies pick from the 2024 draft, Charlie Condon. So I like their chances the rest of the way there. But I'll just run through who's in the playoffs, just so everybody at home has an idea. Check in at milb.com/events/playoffs, and everything is going to be there for you. If you want tickets to a game, they'll be there. If you want to see, which one of your teams, your favorite major league teams affiliates are in the playoffs, that'll be there. The second a team clinches, either AA or AAA, they will appear on this page. So it's good to have handy for the next couple weeks. But starting in the Midwest League, the East Division is between Lake County and Dayton. Lake County leads the best of 3 series, 1-0. Speaking of top 2024 picks, Travis Bazzana of the Cleveland Guardians is on the Lake County captain's roster, so he's one to watch there. Maybe Cam Collier on the Dayton side, a Reds affiliate. In the West Division, Wisconsin, Timber Rattlers, and Quad Cities River Bandits, Brewers and Royals affiliates there. Wisconsin leads the best of 3 series right now, 1-0, but Quad Cities has Jack Caglione and Blake Mitchell, the 2 Kansas City top 100 prospects. South Atlantic League North Division, Greensboro Grasshoppers, which is a Pirates affiliate. I, unfortunately, acted like it's still 2018 the other day, called them a Marlins affiliate on Twitter.
Inexcusable.
I apologize for the error. My brain was just coasting. I am so sorry to all involved on that one. They are going up against the Hudson Valley Renegades, which is a Yankees affiliate and not a Rays affiliate. Like it's 2018. Hudson Valley leads the best of 3 series there, 1-0 as we sit here on Thursday. In the South Division, it's the Rome Emperors, the Braves affiliate. We're going to talk a lot about the Braves today. And the Bowling Green Hot Rods of the Rays. Bowling Green currently leads that best of 3 series. Or no, they lead the best of 3 series right now, 1-0. And then The California League North Division, Modesto and San Jose. That's the Mariners and the Giants. The Modesto Nuts had one of the juggernauts of the entire year this year between top 100 prospects who rolled through, players who were used at the deadline in trades by the Mariners. They're just a fascinating team. A lot of those guys aren't left, obviously the guys who were traded away, but that would be the ultimate capper for a big year for the Nuts. And the fact that, again, to reiterate, they're coming back to Modesto for 2025. That was something that was up in the air. They currently lead that series 1-0.
Yeah, and they won the championship last year, and they finished this year winning like 21 of 25 games, and then they basically started the year doing that again. I mean, just
some special stuff is happening in that Seattle system. It seems like the Lake Elsinore Storm, a Padres affiliate, and the Visalia Rawhide, a D-backs affiliate. Right now, Lake Elsinore leads that best of 3 series 1-0. Carolina in the Carolina League, the Carolina Mudcats and the Fredericksburg Nationals. Fredericksburg leads that best of 3 series 1-0 so far in the North Division. Kannapolis Cannonballers, the White Sox affiliate, going up against the Charleston River Dogs, a Rays affiliate. Kannapolis leads that 1-0. And finally, to wrap it up,
and River Dogs going for that 4-peat.
I know, right? Oh man, that we talked about Bowling Green earlier. The Rays continue to roll out really quality teams at every level. Ben and I were talking about Montgomery and how loaded they are right now, not only with top 100 prospects, but just with a successful team that is going to the Southern League playoffs.
Also,
really excited to see what that team can do.
Charleston had never won a championship before this. The River Dogs franchise had never won a championship and now could win 4 straight league titles, which is pretty amazing.
Right. They'd won the longest droughts in all minor league baseball, and now they're going for 4 in a row.
They have a little bit of work to do. They are down 1-0 to Kannapolis in that best of 3 series. And then Florida State League, Palm Beach Cardinals and Daytona Tortugas. Palm Beach leads that 1-0 so far. And then the Clearwater Threshers, a Phillies affiliate, going up against the Lakeland Flying Tigers. Lakeland has the advantage so far, 1-0 on that side. So that's High A and Single A. Next week, keep an eye out for the Double A playoffs. They will begin as well. A lot of those matchups are already set. The Southern League South Division, speaking of the Montgomery Biscuits, that's still up in the air. And we will get a little bit more baseball in Kodak, Tennessee, which is good. The Birmingham Barons and Tennessee Smokies are scheduled to do a Chicago-related postseason series in the Southern League, but Tennessee was about to close Smoky Stadium this week with regular season play. By punching their ticket to the postseason, they buy a little bit more time before they move to Knoxville in 2025. The Eastern League Northeast Division, the second half winner, is still up in the air there, who will face the Hartford Yard Goats. But the Southwest Division is set between Erie and Akron. And then the Texas League, we're all set there. It's Springfield versus Arkansas and Frisco versus Midland. Double A play ends this week for the regular season. Triple A, that's still up in the air. We have a week and a half at this point left of that. Sugarland Space Cowboys clinched the Pacific Coast League first half, which is still weird to say. We're not normally used to talking about AAA baseball in that way, but they clinched the first half title for the entire league. So they will be in the Pacific Coast League playoffs, and then the International League playoffs. Omaha Storm Chasers, the Royals AAA affiliate, they clinched the first half there. It's still wide open in the second half for the IL. I know Columbus is right in there. Worcester, with a loaded roster, is trying to fight its way back. Keep an eye on the IL standings the rest of the way.
So, with the minor league playoffs underway and the rest of the levels arriving soon, man, we're already at that stage of September, Logo-tember. As we move further along in this week's episode of the show before the show, we opened by talking about the new identity of the team headed to Columbus for next year, and the team that is moving to Columbus from Mississippi will be leaving Pearl, Mississippi after this season, and the subject of our interview this week. Dudes, what do we got?
Yeah, sunrise, sunset. As we welcome the Columbus Clingstones, we say goodbye to the Mississippi Braves. And we wanted to get more perspective on that farewell season at Trustmark Park in Mississippi, in Pearl, Mississippi. So we talked to a guy who I've kind of followed throughout the year on social media, who has been very vocal about his love for the team and the community, and a real asset to that front office. Director of Group Sales, David Kerr, talking about the final season of the Mississippi Braves and what it's like to say goodbye.
The Mississippi Braves played their final game at Trustmark
Park this past Sunday. They will be moving to Columbus, Georgia next season. And obviously, it's always hard to say goodbye, a very bittersweet occasion. And here to talk about that, the Mississippi Braves and what they meant to the community, is David Kerr, the director of group sales for the Mississippi Braves, who has worked his final home game for the team. David, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having. I've always wanted to say this. So long time listener, first time caller. But yeah, I thank you guys for having me.
Excellent. Well, we appreciate you being here. We know it's been an intense season, and this has been a particularly intense stretch. But before we get into that, just a little background on yourself. You've been with the Mississippi Braves for, I believe, 5 seasons.
Yeah, 5 years, 4 seasons. I get it all mixed up. 2020 messed us up. But yeah, I've been here 5 years. I moved here end of 2019.
And what was your professional path in the world of baseball that brought you to Mississippi, specifically Pearl, Mississippi, just outside of Jackson?
Yeah, super long story, but kind of fun story. I left college and I went into telecom. I worked for AT&T. I had a bunch of AT&T stores, but I had spent a season as an usher with Arkansas Travelers way back in 2006. And their general manager at the time, Pete Lavin, who invited me to get into baseball in Gary, Indiana. I spent 6 years in Gary, and then I followed Pete to Mississippi, and I've been here ever since.
Yeah, and it's obviously meant a lot to you. You know, I've been following you on social media, reading your posts on LinkedIn. You've got a strong affinity for this community, these fans, and made a lot of connections. So there's so much we could dive into, but let's fast forward all the way, or just rewind a little bit, depending on your perspective, just to this past Sunday, the final game at Trustmark Park. You know, what was that like for you? On one hand, I know that's a real feeling. On one hand, it's just, this is another Sunday day game. Kids run the bases, all the usual routines and scenarios. But what was it like going through the day and then also saying goodbye at the same time?
Yeah, it was one of the stranger feelings I've had in baseball. We're used to the end of a season and feeling a little emotion knowing that you're not going to see some of these people for a few months. But it kind of felt like high school graduation almost. You are focused on what you have to do. You're going to make sure that all the concession stands are running, lines are moving, you're passing out the giveaway properly. But you're also getting hugs of people that aren't sure they're going to see you again because they don't know what's next. You are realizing that what we've built right here, it's the last chapter of a story. It's the final couple of pages. And no matter how great it is, you always feel a real deep kind of sense of loss as you close up the gates for the last time. So it was wonderful in the fact that people are telling their stories, and I'm hearing stories from over 20 years at Embrace Baseball. So it was wonderful in that regard, but it is also there's a big tinge of sadness as you close up a story. It was a weird day, to say the least.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. And I'm sure, as you were saying, like people are sharing stories left and right on Sunday. I bet, you said you've been with the team now for 5 years, 4 seasons. Was there anything new, any exciting story or interesting story that you hadn't heard before that you heard on Sunday about people's memories of playing in Pearl or watching games there?
I think some of the coolest things that I experienced were just the stories from adults that they told me about bringing their kids the last few years, but then them talking, people that are in their 20s that have been coming since they were 5 and 6 years old. And so they talk about, hey, I was on the field for the Field of Dreams with Dansby Swanson, and now they own a business that bought an outfield wall sign from me. Some of those deeper stories are coming out. I think that was kind of the most fun part of it. This team didn't exist for 3 or 4 years or 5 seasons. It existed for 20 years. So that means we're on a third generation of people that grew up in the ballpark. And so the memories that they have aren't just momentary memories. They're things that they've built their families on. We met people that met at the ballpark or got married, or the cool story you guys did earlier this year of Analia Jolly meeting her parents. So those kind of stories are the ones that are going to stick with me well past the time that we closed Trustmark Park down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we've talked so far about how Sunday went, but just as this season was going along, I mean, did it feel like it was building to Sunday, or was it all those emotions come rushing in at once? Because like you've been saying, you're still running a baseball team. Like there's still so much to do on a day-to-day basis just to keep the wheels turning. Was it a slow build towards the end of the season, or how'd that kind of come along all summer?
Yeah, I think we approached our staff was really good at approaching the season with a ton of intention and making sure that people that had their stories, their moments, that they would get to relive them one last time. So it wouldn't just be faded. That's the way I talk about memories, is some of them fade into oblivion over time. And so you need ways to renew them and refresh them and rediscuss them. So while I believe the emotion for us in the front office has been building all year, we put a lot of intention and a lot of thought into making sure that we were continuing to move other people's story forward. And that kind of helped us deal with what we were feeling inside these offices.
And to back up a little bit, or look at the bigger picture, Trustmark Park, Pearl, Mississippi, outside of Jackson. What can you tell us about, the type of community that surrounds this team, the type of fans that it has, just what the overall makeup is of the fan base, who've been coming to games at Trustmark Park for 2 decades?
Yeah, absolutely. And I come from as an outsider. Like, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, or Akron, Ohio. I forget I'm talking to minor league baseball guys. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
You have
I
heard
grew
about
up. I
Yeah,
I
I was
grew
born
I
in
grew up.
Ravenna.
Yeah. So yeah, I grew up in Akron, and so I went to college in Arkansas, but Mississippi is a completely different version of Deep South that I didn't know existed. And so getting here, the things that I learned really quickly is even in the largest city, it's very much a small town feel. Everybody knows everybody. But they're also willing to jump in and involve everybody or anybody in what's going on. I have become personally, I've only been here 5 years, and I feel like I've lived in the city of Pearl for 25, 30 years. Like I went to high school with all of the people that are here and everything like that. And so I would say Mississippi is very welcoming. I would also say that Mississippi is very generous with their time, with their money. And then the people here really do care about telling that stories. There's such a long tradition of stories being told from generation to generation to generation about what it means to be from different parts of Mississippi, and seeing that continue even in the suburbs or in the city, seeing that continue and us getting to be part of that's been really ridiculously cool.
Yeah, you mentioned Anna Leah Jolly, who's from the Ukraine originally and had a very difficult childhood and ended up on a trip to America meeting the people who would become her adoptive parents at a Mississippi Braves game. I mean, that's a remarkable story. And you probably don't have any other stories like that specifically. But when you think back through the years, and I know this is tough because so many names and faces probably come to mind, but are there any other people who jump to mind in terms of people you met that you wouldn't have known otherwise, except for at the ballpark, who just had interesting stories or who you really had a unique connection with?
Yeah, absolutely. There's just, you're right. There are probably 100 that I could name right now. But I think, the most interesting stories to me are, there's one of our season ticket holders. Her name's Rita. She's a military veteran. And her son had fought some issues. He had like an accident when he was younger. And so they have used this as a place to bond. And it is their story. It's the thing that they do together. And it's allowed them both to build a new community around them. They drive something like an hour and a half to every game to get up here. They don't live particularly close, and they're just probably 1,000 stories like that. Like I said, my favorite stories are the ones, and I don't want to name anyone's names here, but they're the ones where I am making a sales call to a corporation, and somebody goes, "Oh yeah, we've come to every Bark in the Park game since I was 6." And now I'm talking to a decision maker that has memories of being out here when they were 6. So those are some of my favorite stories. And then my other real favorite story is the sheer number of people since I've been here. Michael Harris played here for us for only about 90 days maximum in 2021. And he made so many relationships with people in the stands that like Jackson had a massive flood a couple of years ago and the water system went completely down. And Michael Harris hadn't even signed a real contract with the Braves yet, and he already donated $30K back because he had built relationships. And then I get to come in every day and hear stories of people like, yeah, Michael stayed an hour and a half after the game. He took pictures with my kid. He shared his cell phone number so he could call him if we wanted. So those are my favorite stories.
Man, I love that one about Michael Harris, just because he's such a Georgia guy, right? That's part of the story of him being with the Braves, is he's such a hometown guy playing for that. But you don't have to have just one hometown as you're coming through the minor leagues. So I love that part of it. And one thing that's come out this week too is that the Frontier League is going to be expanding to Pearl next year. So it's not like baseball is completely going away. The Frontier League is a MLB partner league. It's just a different brand of baseball. Instead of AA Southern League, it'll be independent. What has been the reaction from the community of that, of like, hey, there is something else coming in here. We can still have this community center.
Yeah, I think people are really excited. Baseball is one of the core things Mississippi's built on, and I don't know if everybody else in the nation knows that, but they won 2 national championships at the Division I level between Ole Miss, Mississippi State in the last few years. There are a ton of just core players that come from Mississippi, and it is just a core part of what Mississippi is. So being in the capital city area, being in the major metro region of the state, knowing that baseball is going to stay has just received a massively positive response. That being said, Trustmark Park is one of the more gorgeous facilities. Like, it's still in fantastic shape. And so knowing that this city, Rankin County, the city of Pearl, are going to continue to have something at the center of it that means so much and tells such a great story is fantastic.
Yeah, kind of along those lines then. I mean, people plan baseball road trips all over the place, and they're starting to include more and more indie ball teams as the indie levels expand. I mean, kind of give it a pitch. Like you said, Trustmark is such a jewel of a ballpark and still fantastic facility. What should people check out about it specifically if they're planning something for 2025?
Yeah, absolutely. So I come from independent baseball. Before I joined the Braves, I was with the Gary South Shore Railcats in Indiana in the American Association. So the things they should be really excited about for making a trip either from around the state or around the country to visit Pearl is number one is the ballpark experience itself is unmatched. Fully walk around concourse, one of the largest video boards in the nation at the minor league level. On top of that, it is worth the trip to Mississippi alone just for the food, whether it's for tamales or you'll have to Google this, but once you've had comeback sauce, you're just set. Like, you have to come back to Mississippi. So, and then on top of it, the drive here it comes through some of the most gorgeous country in the world. I know we always joke that Montana is called Big Sky Country, but I have never experienced a sky like you get in Mississippi. So you grab a meal down on the Mississippi River and watch the sunset, and it is worth your trip to Mississippi for that alone.
Yeah, but fill up the gas in your car first, because one of the closest times I ever came to running out of gas was between Biloxi, Mississippi, and Pearl. You hit some pretty rural areas, and I thought I was going to just get stranded there. And speaking of Biloxi, the season's still going. The Mississippi Braves are still a entity playing baseball. They're playing their final series on the road against the Shuckers. But, David, we're talking to you there in your office. There's still business to take care of. What is it like now? The season's still going. You're still working at the ballpark. What is the daily to-do list now in this strange time where the team's played its last home game, but the season's still going on?
Yeah, I think some of it is we kind of get to become fans for this last week. We're still in the playoff hunt. Like, we're not eliminated. The team we're chasing is the Biloxi Shuckers. So we have 6 games against the team we're chasing. So we kind of get to become fans there and get to communicate what's going on. And but really, I think most of what we're doing now is we want to connect one last time with everybody that came out, say thank you, really take that time, and then make sure we close up operations properly, knowing that somebody is coming behind us so that we can prep this stadium properly for someone to take over. And then really we want to make sure that everything that we have here that tells the story of Braves AA baseball, that we're protecting it and making sure that it can make the trip to Columbus, because we know baseball's staying here, but there's a town that is getting a AA team that hasn't had baseball in a long time. And we have a small part in the story of making sure that they can jump off to the right foot. And while, our neighbors are certainly sad to be losing the team they had, my personal perspective is now, because baseball's staying in Mississippi, that there's now an entirely new market that is getting minor league baseball again. And we're able to, I tell everyone all the time, I cheer for every single minor league or independent team to be successful, because what we do is really, really important to our communities.
Yeah, maybe an overly broad question to wrap things up. It's actually the kind of question I hate getting when people are like, what's your favorite ballpark, or what's the craziest thing you've ever seen?
Now the shoe's on the other
Yeah,
foot.
but now I can dish it out instead of taking it. What is your favorite memory from Trustmark Park, or one that jumps out? I mean, I know you have so many, and I know this is an impossible question. I hate myself even for asking it, but here we go.
No, I'm all for impossible questions because I do the same thing. So no worries. Let me pause for just a second and see what just pops out as the most important.
Yeah, that's how it works.
I actually think so. There are a ton of them, but this past Sunday, is our final game, and we made a decision not to do kids run the bases, but we're going to let all fans run the bases. Didn't matter if you're old or young or anything. And I grew up, my favorite version of the Cleveland Indians was the one on Major League, because until I was about 12, they weren't any good. And so I always think of Jake Taylor in the first Major League movie, and he goes out there and he's by himself and he does the fake home run trot around, and then Willie Mays Hayes and Charlie Sheen, or I love that I'm using character names and actor names mixed up, but that they are cheering him on when he crosses home plate. And I just kind of had that. I probably haven't run the bases since I was 20. And so we're out there, we finished kids run the bases, everyone's still on the field. And I looked at the news guy and said, I think we're going to go run the bases. And so I did a fake home run swing, and I did the slow trot of a 40-year-old around the bases. And then as I turned around third, our PA announcer caught me doing it, and he announced me coming down home plate. And I think that's my favorite memory, because it kind of encapsulated the whole reason we all do it. Is I'm a guy that is at the ballpark every single day. There is nothing here that is new to me. And I still found tremendous joy in closing this place up with a fake home run. And so I know that we get to do that for people every day. And I will hold that one dear for a long, long time.
Absolutely, and well put. Well, David Kerr, Group Sales Director for the Mississippi Braves, saying goodbye to the team, and we appreciate you sharing your memories and perspective on the final season, and hope to talk to you again on this podcast sometime, and whatever happens next.
Awesome. I appreciate you guys. Y'all have a great day.
We interrupt this podcast to bring you another thrilling edition of Ghosts of the Miners. Now, here's your correspondent and host, Joshua Jackson.
Welcome back to Ghosts of the Miners, in which all of you out there in Radioland must identify the legitimate historical ball club or player hiding amidst the fraudulent pair. One really went for it. The others have never been there for it. In the last segment, I asked you which of the following minor league baseball teams did at one time exist. A, the Scotch Spinners. B, the Belfast Ploughmen. C, the Welch Miners. You knew the real Miners team if you picked C, the Welch Miners, who were back-to-back champions in the Appalachian League in the 1950s after competing in the Mountain State League in the 30s and 40s. Playing in the seat of West Virginia's McDowell County, the Welch Miners were deep into coal country. The town of Welch was booming in population and prosperity in the 1920s and continued to grow through the 50s before a major downturn. But things were still very much looking up for Welch's Miners when the Welch Miners were a founding member of the Mountain State League in 1937. Defying their moniker's implications, the first Miners never really got into a hole, getting a remarkable performance from Stan Arnzen, who led the league with 150 hits and maintaining a tight race with the Beckley Bengals all summer. But even from atop the standings, the Miners dug themselves into a dark place by brawling at the slightest provocation. In mid-season, even Miners manager Eddie Krajnik and Bengals manager Eli Harris came to blows. That was only the beginning of the Miners skirmishes, though. Before the semifinal series against the Williamson Colts, the Colts were not horsing around with an accusation that two newly acquired Welch players were ineligible for postseason play. The umpires concurred, and Welch welched on its agreement to play the game. It was ruled a forfeit, and Beckley beat Williamson in the finals 2-0. But there was also this nugget. The Miners were brought in front of league officials to answer for their action, under threat of the franchise's expulsion from the circuit. Although the forfeiture was upheld, the Miners won no small victory in that they were not tossed out of the league, in which they continued to compete through 1942, that wartime year that was the last season not just for the minor circuit, but for many minor circuits. The Welch Miners resurfaced in the Appy League of 1946, though, and continued to suit up there into 1955, winning championships in 52 and 53. By 55, though, nearly $7,000 of debt from the previous season was the canary in the coal mine, and they couldn't canary on when they added another $4,500 in debt that year. In mid-July, in financial distress and 20 games way down beneath the Salem Rebels, the Miners moved to Marion, Virginia, and took on the name of the parent club A's. And that's how the Welch Miners collapsed. Now, on to the question for next time. Which of these players lit up the Miners of yesteryear? A. Baxter Sparks. B. Charlie Twinkles. C. Orson Blazes. Want to know the answer? Be bright. Or tune into the next Goes to the Miners. But for now, you'll have to excuse me. My producer Ben Hill wants to make eggs, and I've got to help him find a nest.
Josh Jackson stopping by this week's episode of the show. Before the show, a big thanks to our fearless leader of all things Goes to the Miners, from his, what would we call Josh's editorial cave in Maine. He does so many unique things. I feel like we need a special term for Josh's surroundings. By the way, Sam is wearing a Portland Sea Dogs hat today that has the old school Maine flag on the side. So you're kind of paying tribute to Josh Jackson today, in fact.
I do that in all things, in all ways, at all times. But
we all should.
Yeah, I do. I went to Portland earlier this summer for an MLB Pipeline Game of the Month situation. Got to spend the night with Josh at the ballpark, which is an absolute joy. And we walked into the merch store, and I just saw this hat, and it spoke to me across. It was literally like sparkling in the corner. I'm like, this is perfect for my type of hat. I love that it honors the history of Maine in a way that the Sea Dogs do incredibly well. And then I bought it, and Josh told me a whole story of having the flag outside his own home.
Yeah. The flag that you are wearing.
What that means to people there. Yeah.
It's the flag that was, I believe, the state's flag in the early 1900s. And it, according to Wikipedia, so you know it's right, there has been a movement for Maine to readopt that flag since at least 1991, and they will actually vote on it this year. It's a very cool flag. It's got a tree in the middle and a blue star. It's a very cool flag. And Maine's flag, I'm sorry, Maine, but your flag right now is super lame. It's just like a blue flag with a state seal on it. It's lame. So go back to the cool flag. Cool flags are fun. I'm from a state that has a cool flag.
Yeah, but I mean, a seal makes sense. I mean, the Sea Dogs, that's a seal.
Well, no, not that type of seal then.
Oh.
That would
they should if they want to bring
put Slugger.
If they want to put Slugger on the flag,
that would be way cooler. That would be way cooler than the tree, I will say. All right, you guys, before we get out of here, it is 11 p.m. nearly here on Thursday evening in China. But I have a dude for this week's episode of Name That Dude, and I'm very excited for this week's episode. So let's jump right in to Name That Dude. And we will begin by saying... What'd you say?
Edgardo Alfonso.
It is not Edgardo Alfonso, but man, that would have been great.
Cross him off the list then.
You gotta put him right down. This dude was the 19,483rd in Major League history to debut. So since it's not Edgardo Alfonso, now you can only guess from 19,482 players. So it's start whittling it down. Okay, this dude was a first-round pick of the St. Louis Cardinals in the 2005 MLB first-year player draft. He was born in Columbus, Georgia.
Wow.
All right, I'm gonna opt out of this. I'm pretty sure I know it.
Okay.
Well, keep going. Keep going.
Okay.
Keep going.
I think I know too, but like I want to have you keep going.
Really? Okay. Well, he
Yeah.
made his big league debut 4 years later with the St. Louis Cardinals on April 7th of 2009. He spent some time
My
coming
19th birthday.
through. Oh, how fitting. I was born in the 90s. He made his professional debut with Johnson City in the Appy League. And then that was in 2005. 2006, he spent time with Class A Quad Cities, which was in its short-lived era as the swing of the Quad Cities, not the Quad Cities River Bandits, the swing of the Quad Cities. And then with Palm Beach in the Florida State League. 2007, he was a member of the Springfield Cardinals at AA. He also played for a Team USA entry in the Arizona Fall League, which I did not know was a thing.
Yep.
Actually, I might not know this. That's a jump the gun.
He was on Team USA. 2008, back at rookie ball and high A for 3 games each, but he spent the majority of the season, 90 games with the Memphis Redbirds. And then by 2009, he was in the big leagues. He only played at a couple of stops in the minor leagues from 2009, really all the way up until 2017. He played 6 games with Buffalo in 2014 in the Toronto system. He saw time with Toronto, Houston, and the Tampa Bay Rays and Baltimore Orioles late in his career. Do you dudes have a guess?
Oh, no.
No, I jumped the gun. I just written about Columbus and had a small overview of Columbus history, and I jumped the gun. It's not who I thought it was.
Yeah.
There is
Because I know
one-
Tim Hudson was in
Yeah,
yours.
that's
But
what I- that's what I
Tim
was
Hudson is much too late for
Tim
this.
Hudson is one guy. Frank Thomas is also from Columbus, Georgia. He was born in Columbus, Georgia, anyway. And I was not gonna go with somebody that obvious. But it is somebody who is kind of this era. He also, I don't know if I want to give this part away yet. I would say that the start to his career in St. Louis is probably the thing most people remember him from. But he played 4 years in Toronto. He was in Toronto 2011 to 2014. And he did have one tremendous season in Toronto. 2013, only played 118 games, but he hit 276, 338, 508 for an 840 OPS. Hit 22 home runs that season, which was actually 3 shy of a career high. But again, he only did it in 118 games. 2015 and 2016, couple of seasons with Houston, and then really tailed off. He only played 37 games with the Rays in 2017, 18 games with the Orioles in 2018. Yes, obviously he's a position player based on the amount of games.
Well, yeah, yes.
That part you got.
I
I can give you another hint if you would like.
Please.
He had a brother who was also a first-round pick in 2006 by the Atlanta Braves. And was on. I know this is going to be the thing that turns the tide for you, but he was on a minor league team that I worked for. He was a member of the 2010 Myrtle Beach Pelicans.
The brother was.
I know that was the brother, not the player that I'm discussing, but his brother.
Yeah, because we've already gone through the players.
Right. And then the brother made his major league debut with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim made his debut with the Braves and then was traded to the Angels, and he spent 4 seasons with the Angels.
We should have this now, Sam. It's going to bother me when it comes up.
I feel kind of good, dude. I do feel like you dudes should have this. I do.
I should have this, yeah.
Good.
I think first round brothers, I think the Uptons, but it's not the Uptons.
It's not the Uptons. Also like I don't really have like any other hints. I feel like I've gone through most of his career.
Can you give us a position?
He was an outfielder.
No, that's
Center fielder for the most part. I think later though in his career, I think he played the corners a little bit more. Yeah, in Houston, he played primarily.
Outfield.
He primarily was in the corners in Houston in 2015 and 2016.
CJ's outfitter with a brother. Oh my goodness.
I feel like when you hear it, you're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that dude."
I'm sure.
No, not Dexter Fowler.
No,
He's from Georgia, though.
he is from Georgia.
Oh, God. Why is this stumping me?
You give up?
Drafted out of high school.
You giving up? You want the high
Played
school?
in the Appy League and all that. So he was drafted out of high school.
He was drafted out of Russell County High School in Seal, Alabama. Or maybe it's Sealy. I don't know. Seale.
That's
Remember Aaron Sealy?
Aaron
Yes,
Sealy.
I do
Yes.
remember.
This is not Aaron Sealy.
It's not Aaron Sealy. It is not. Oh, I feel so good. I feel so good. I'm like 12 time zones away and I got you. I got you. Feel very good about this.
What was his home run high?
25. He hit 25 home runs in the first season that he played with the Astros in 2015. On that spectacular Astros team that was like the kind of the first one that really started to turn things around. 86 and 76 that year after going
like
70 and 92 the year before, 51 and 111 the year before that, 55 and 107 the year before that.
Now I'm just trying to think like center fielders. Like for some reason Michael Bourne came to mind, but he played one time in Atlanta.
No.
Well, I think in the interest of our listening public,
Yeah, we
just
should
kind of have to give it up.
Give us initials, and then I'll be angry at myself.
Initials are CR.
Oh, that's not helpful. I don't know why that's not helpful.
No.
You ready? You ready?
Yeah.
Colby
Yeah.
Rasmus.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, okay. Colby Rasmus and his brother Corey Rasmus, super friendly dude. I loved working with Corey Rasmus. Corey Rasmus pitched 4 seasons with the Angels and then made 3 starts for Atlanta before the trade. And Colby Rasmus is the guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
For Sam and I, that was a swing and a Rasmus.
Yeah.
I feel good.
Just apologies to the entire Rasmus family, I guess.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I gotta say, it was pretty bad. But he's very much like a remember a guy kind of guy. Because there was a time when it was like, oh, Colby Rasmus is a pretty good little player. Especially early on when he was with the Cardinals, like, pretty decent start to his career, and then kind of fell off after that. But yeah, Colby Rasmus, his rookie of the year or his rookie season, he finished 8th, I believe it said, in rookie of the year voting. Yeah, 8th in rookie of the year voting his first year. He slashed 251, 307, 407, 16 homers, 52 RBIs, like a very serviceable age 22 season, 147 games. The next year, hit 276, 361, 498 with 23 homers, 859 OPS, a 132 OPS plus. He was a good player for a little while and then kind of started to tail off.
I feel like
Toronto. Yeah.
Yeah. He's one of those examples that where like you might look at the career and be like, well, it wasn't great for a first rounder.
Right.
Actually, that is good.
Yeah.
That is like
it's not bad.
When you make a first round pick, you should hope that they have like Colby Rasmus's career because they contributed over multiple seasons, been pretty good.
He spent 10 years in the big leagues,
Exactly.
That's pretty good. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Parts of 10 years, I should say. I don't believe he had 10 years of service time, but parts of 10 years. Well, that'll do it, dudes, on this week's episode of the show before the show. Next week, I will be back in, I guess, my office. I don't know where I'll be. I don't know. Why am I trying to project where I'll be? But I'll be back in the same continent as you guys. So that's one step closer to, being able to coordinate our time zones a little easier. And that'll do it for this week's episode of the show before the show. For the Rasmus brothers, for Sam Dykstra, Benjamin Hill, Josh Jackson, and all the rest, my name is Tyler Mon, and we will catch you all next week.